Thelma Colbert Schoonmaker, born January 3, 1940, is an American film editor who has worked with director Martin Scorsese for over 40 years. She has edited all of Scorsese's films since Raging Bull, 1980, first working with Scorsese in his debut feature film Who's That Knocking at My Door, 1967. Schoonmaker has received 7 Academy Award nominations for Best Film Editing, and has won 3 times for Raging Bull, 1980, The Aviator, 2004, and The Departed, 2006. Schoonmaker was born in Algiers, French Algeria, the daughter of American parents Thelma and Bertram Schoonmaker. Bertram, descended from the York Schoonmaker family, was employed as an agent of the Standard Oil Company and worked extensively abroad. Thelma was raised in various countries, including on the Dutch Caribbean island of Aruba. Schoonmaker did not live in the United States until she was a teenager in 1955, and was initially alienated and dumbfounded by American culture. Schoonmaker was interested in a career in international diplomacy and began attending Cornell University in 1957, where she studied political science and the Russian language. She attended classes taught by Vladimir Nabokov. When she graduated from Cornell in 1961, she began taking State Department tests in order to apply for positions in the U.S. government. Being politically inclined and opinionated, Schoonmaker expressed distaste for the South African policy of apartheid, a stance which did not sit well with those administering the State Department tests. In reaction to this experience, Schoonmaker switched gears and began taking a course in primitive art. Career. While doing graduate work at Columbia University, Thelma Schoonmaker answered an ad that offered on-the-job training as an assistant film editor. She responded to the employment advertisement in the New York Times and got the job. The job entailed assisting an editor who was randomly cutting frames from classic European films, such as those by François Truffaut, Jean-Luc Godard, and Federico Fellini, so that their length would conform to the running times of U.S. television broadcasts. Although she was revolted by the callousness of the editor's methods, Schoonmaker nonetheless picked up important technical skills, including negative cutting. She signed up for a brief 6-week course in filmmaking at New York University, NYU, where she came into contact with budding young filmmaker Martin Scorsese, who was struggling to complete his film What's a Nice Girl Like You Doing in a Place Like This. A negative cutter had butchered his film, not leaving enough negative frames to allow for hot splicing. One of her film professors asked Schoonmaker to help Scorsese. A close working relationship with him has unfolded over the next 35 years. Schoonmaker edited Scorsese's first feature film, Who's That Knocking at My Door, 1967. At NYU, Schoonmaker also met filmmaker Michael Wadley and later edited his influential music festival documentary, Woodstock. Her first major film editing work on Woodstock gained Schoonmaker an Academy Award nomination for Best Editing. Her use of superimpositions and freeze frames brought the performances in the film to life, and added to the movie's wide appeal, thus helping to raise the artistry and visibility of documentary filmmaking to a new level. Despite her obvious skill and talent, the early period of Schoonmaker's career was difficult. Joining the Motion Picture Editors Guild has always been challenging, with entry requirements included spending 5 years as an apprentice, 3 as an assistant, and the film industry generally has been a restrictive boys' club. Consequently, there was a 12-year gap between her work on Scorsese's student films and her Oscar-winning work on Raging Bull. Nonetheless, Schoonmaker helped to shatter some film industry glass ceilings, and has amassed an extensive list of film editing credits. Variety's Eileen Kowalski notes that, indeed, many of the editorial greats have been women: Deed Allen, Verna Fields, Thelma Schoonmaker, Ann V. Coates and Dorothy Spencer. She appears in The Aviator as one of Howard Hughes' editors during the filming of Hell's Angels. Schoonmaker was married to film director Michael Powell from May 19, 1984 until his death in 1990. Since his death, Schoonmaker has been dedicated to preserving the films and honoring the legacy of her husband, who directed many classic films, including The Red Shoes. She was introduced to Michael Powell by Martin Scorsese and London-based film producer Frixos Constantine. Quotes: "You get to contribute so significantly in the editing room because you shape the movie and the performances," she says. "You help the director bring all the hard work of those who made the film to fruition. You give their work rhythm and pace and sometimes adjust the structure to make the film work, to make it start to flow up there on the screen. And then it's very rewarding after a year's work to see people react to what you've done in the theater. Editing is a lot about patience and discipline and just banging away at something, turning off the machine and going home at night because you're frustrated and depressed, and then coming back in the morning to try again." When asked how it was that such a nice lady could edit Scorsese's violent gangster pictures, Thelma replied with a smile, "But they aren't violent until I've edited them." With 7 Academy Award nominations, Schoonmaker is the second most nominated editor in Academy Awards history, after Michael Kahn, who has 8 nominations. Tied with Kahn, Daniel Mandel, and Ralph Dawson, she also holds the record for the most wins in the category of Best Editing, with 3.